All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is last day of the month for January. It is January 30th, the last trading day. January 30th, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all my paying subscribers. What a tough day it was today. Nothing but chop, up and over, VWAP, and down and under, and up and over. And nothing but chop, chop, chop. All right, so how I made 8K today with only 10% of my account. It's the same thing I do every month, all right? Every day. Just use 10%. So let's take a look at the markets today. Oh, before I get started, I want to make an announcement. Okay, right here, we've got this Monday and Tuesday, Road to Wealth, inside the Road to Wealth workshop. Take this with your smartphone camera and you scan this QR code and a little pop-up will appear. You press the pop-up. It'll open up a web page on your browser and you fill out the registration form and then we will email you your credentials to get into the room for Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so that's how you attend. You have to register. All right, so scan that with your QR code. Scan that with your smartphone camera. Okay, so Rick, he's the founder of Hit and Run Candlesticks, and he's given a two-day live trading workshop inside the Road to Wealth. All right, so if you want to attend, it's free learning. It's up to you. This is for everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. If you're looking for something to do on Monday and Tuesday, it runs from 8:30 to 4 p.m. All right, so that's how to attend. Just scan that with your smartphone camera and get registered, and we'll send you credentials to get into the room. All right, let's take a look at the market today. All right, let's take a look at the market. Okay, so let's push all this over. Let's push this up first. Okay, so there's my results for the day. Okay, so let's push this over right here. Drag this down. We'll go to the 10-minute chart. So I'm going to call it 10-minute wonky consolidation. All right, because we're up, we're under, we're over, we're under. So it's a kind of a consolidation up here. Is it bullish or bearish? Let's find out. Okay, this consolidation that we're in. Well, it's bullish because it's on the upper half of the quad lines. Okay, so it's on the bullish side. Okay, up here. So that's bullish consolidation. Big wind up. Notice it goes down, up, starting to get tighter and tighter in here. Look for a breakout come Monday. All right, so that's where we are with the 10-minute. I'm going to call it bullish consolidation, or you can call it a weak 3-candle uptrend. Either way, bullish consolidation. Actually, the whole day was nothing but consolidation. Okay, so there's you can see right here, price went up, over VWAP, under VWAP, over VWAP, under, over. Too many times before noon, and it's best just to stand down and let them get out of the range. Okay, because here's the pre-market range right here was the low. So we came down and tested the low, the pre-market range, and then we were up here at the highs of yesterday where we left off. We did the gap fill thing, but we never climbed on top of gap fill and held the higher ground. So there's nothing but slop and consolidation between basically 694 and 688, right around here, 687. Okay, so nothing but slop right through there. It's a 10-minute downtrend. Okay, I traded the 10-minute downtrend, made a little bit of profit on the puts. I had some calls, and my calls kind of doubled down on them down here, and they returned. I was able to exit those calls basically like break even, but I made some money on the puts down here. A lot of money was made on silver. Most of my money was made on silver because silver had a huge dip today. Okay, you can see the silver dip. Okay, so it was up here. Okay, yesterday when we closed, and it's down here. Okay, you can see where it dipped to. Okay, so big dip on silver. Silver doing the dipping. Back to SPY. Okay, on the 2-hour chart. So yesterday it was bearish into the close. So I'm curious what today's going to say. Okay, so today, well, you got the sticks and the 3 are underneath the 8. So it's still a bearish downtrend, okay, on the 2-hour chart. On the daily chart, we got an inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low. We closed, I'm going to say underneath the bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. Still at the top of quadrant 4. It's still bullish up there. Okay, here's our April low. Still bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, there's SPY. Let's take a look at weekly chart. Was still bullish and in an uptrend. See all the green dots? Closing at the top of quadrant 4. It's bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart. Again, quadrant 4, top of quadrant 4. See all the green dots? Bullish and in an uptrend. So there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. And QQQ will start on the 10. QQQ, well, I'm going to call that bearish consolidation because they came from this high and they kind of just stayed down here. They didn't even spend any time over VWAP here. They couldn't even make it back to VWAP. So showing some weakness there on the NASDAQ 100. So it's a weak 2-candle uptrend, but I'm going to call it bearish consolidation that we came down and we just kind of moved over to the right. We closed over the all-time high anchored VWAP, which is, that's a bullish move right there. We did just kind of melt off all day today. So there's QQQ. Didn't make a lower low, so there's some good news too. So closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's good news. And didn't make a lower low, so that's good news. But we did make a higher high, a lower high. Okay, so we made a lower high. So the bears could be inspired to make that lower low. Maybe Monday morning, we'll find out. So there's QQQ on the 10-minute chart. Let's take a look at the 2-hour. And you can see the sticks and the 3, which is the yellow line, underneath the 8, which is the white line. So the 3 and the sticks underneath the 8, and you've got a 2-hour downtrend into the close for today on the daily chart. On the daily chart, we've got an inside day. It's a higher low, lower high, closing under a bullish trap and under the flat 17. Still at the top of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. We haven't busted out any lows yet, so we're still bullish and we're still in an uptrend. Here's the April low down here. There's our all-time high, and that pink line's the all-time high anchored VWAP, so we're above the all-time high anchored VWAP. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart still bullish and in an uptrend. April low, okay, top of quadrant 4, bullish and in uptrend. Nothing's broken here. Monthly chart, same thing. See all the green dots? April low, okay, still at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and in an uptrend on QQQ. All right, it's back to the daily chart. Let's take a look at IWM. Got a lower high, a lower low. We closed under a bearish trap, under the all-time high anchored VWAP in the middle of quadrant 4. We didn't break any lows, so we're still bullish. So it's really a pullback in an uptrend. So it's in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's bullish up there. And we're still in an uptrend, so that's bullish and an uptrend on IWM. Here's the April low. Okay, here's the price action for today on IWM for the past week right there. See that? Just nothing but kind of melting off all week. All right, there's IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow is a lower high, a lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap, closing underneath the flat 200, closing at the top of quadrant 4. Now, here's the low. Did we make a lower low? We'll find out. Low here, 484.24. Low here, 484.56. Okay, double check. 484.24, 484.56. All right, so we still in an uptrend, just barely. Okay, still in an uptrend on Diamond Dow. So, but just not moving up. Clearly, just kind of melting. All right, so Diamond Dow is bullish, top of quadrant 4, and is still in an uptrend. They haven't broke this low yet. Okay, so bullish and in an uptrend for Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at Stinker. Stinker got an inside day. That's a doji, well, spinning top. Kind of like bulls and bears agree on price right here. Which is not a good thing. Not for me. Okay, lower high, higher low, closing under a bearish cross. See the 3 crossing under the 8 EMA. So under a bearish cross, under the falling 17. See these red dots? And they turn green, and they turn back to red. So under the falling 17, underneath see the pink line here, all-time high anchored VWAP. We're not in the upper third, which would be above my crosshairs right here. So we're not in the upper third. So we're neutral and still in a downtrend on Stinker. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold. Well, here's silver. Silver fell out of bed. Biggest red igniting candle I've ever seen. Okay, looking for follow through on that candle. All right, so on the daily chart, silver did not break any lows below the 17. Okay, notice there's no lows here below the 17 till we get right there. Okay, that's the first low. And that's 44.61. Are we going to 44.61? I don't know. All right, but that's a huge red candle right there. So there's silver, obviously lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish cross, underneath the rising 17 EMA. Clearly not in the upper third. Okay, that would be the upper third right there. Did not close in the upper third. All right, so it's neutral. All right, but still in an uptrend. Get that? It's still in an uptrend. Look at that pullback. So silver still in an uptrend, just not moving up. All right, moving down, violently moving down. Okay, that's silver. Let's take a look at gold. Just remember, yesterday, gold and silver put in new all-time highs. So here's gold, lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bullish trap underneath the rising 200 SMA. Still in quadrant 4, so that's still bullish. Silver's neutral because they lost the upper third. Gold is still up here in the upper third, still up in quadrant 4. So that's bullish and in an uptrend still, believe it or not. With that big move down, they're still in the upper third. So still bullish for me, okay, and in an uptrend because they haven't broke any lows. This would be the first low to break. See this red candle that pokes below the 17? That would be the first one to break. Okay, that would be 397.47 if you're interested. So there's gold. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG puts in a monster candle, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17 EMA there. Did it make a higher high? Well, it's in an uptrend regardless because here's the high, and they made higher highs. So it's neutral and in an uptrend right there on the daily chart. Okay, neutral and in an uptrend. Okay, look how it held. You know what I say, I like to see it hold for 3 or 4 candles. So it holds for 3 or 4 candles, and then look what happens on the 5th candle. You get the rip. All right, so nice move up there on UNG. Let's take a look at USO. So UNG neutral and in an uptrend. Let me back out here, okay? Neutral, all right? Because here's the 12-month high anchored VWAP. We closed over that 12-month high anchored VWAP. And you can see this is quadrant 1. So underneath the crosshairs here, okay, would be bearish. Okay, so it's between the bearish zone and above the crosshairs here would be the upper third. This is the lower third. Okay, so not in the lower third, not in the upper third. So it's neutral right here in the middle, pulling back to the midpoint. So neutral and in an uptrend for UNG. Let's take a look at USO. Okay, USO got a lower high and a lower low, closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17 EMA, all the way up here in quadrant 4. That is bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, me thinks, okay, that this is a little too far, too fast. Okay, me thinks that they need to kind of cool it, all right, for a week or two, all right? Maybe pull back, move to the side, just kind of melt over, kind of hold the higher ground. If they can, I don't know if they can, okay? But there's USO. That's a bullish and in an uptrend there on USO. So I've been saying on UNG and USO, you know, maybe spring. Well, I guess spring came early because UNG's breaking out of the bearish zone and USO's breaking out of the neutral zone into the bullish zone. Okay, so I guess spring came early. This is USO, regardless of what the weather is going to be like next week or this weekend. So that's USO. Let's take a look at technicals. T2101, this is participation. Okay, market did... Well, the IWM came down some, all right, and then the SPY kind of went sideways, kind of melt off a little bit, and participation did the same thing, okay? So this is the absolute breadth, so kind of the same thing. So it is what it is, less participation, less breadth here today on the 15-minute chart, okay? So that's T2101. T2122 right here. Well, we spent part of the day. Well, no, we had a brief visit inside the sell zone. All right. I think we came in, ordered a coffee, left the car running, had to turn it off, came back in, had some coffee, forgot the baby's in the car, had to go back and get the baby, came back in here, finished coffee, okay, gave the baby whatever it needs, and came back out and left. All right. So that's what it looks like to me today, all right? So we spent the day hanging out between the seller's chop zone and the sell zone, okay, which is lower consolidation than what we spent yesterday, okay? So not liking this at all right? Yesterday we closed in the buyer's chop zone. Today we're closing in the seller's chop zone. What happens on Monday? We're going to close in the sell zone. I'm starting to see a pattern here, okay? So you can see we got like a downtrend line. It's invisible right there. If I find my tools come up in time, I can draw the line in for you. But you can see price still makes just these lower highs, lower high, lower high, equal high, lower high. So let's take those off, get the linear out. Okay, so here's our tool right there. You can see we have a downtrend right here. And they keep making lower highs and lower lows. All right. Are they coming all the way to the oversold zone? Maybe they are. I don't know. We'll find out in the near future here if the bulls are going to step up anytime soon or the FNGU. Okay. So this is T2122 getting more bearish day by day. Okay. That's T2122. T2123, which is right next to it, right here. Okay, again, look at price, moves up and holds the higher ground up here. So that's bull flag. That is bullish. Holding that higher ground, planking like that over the rising 200, that's bullish up there. Okay, so price action, we'll see what we left off with, okay? So we got a high, which happens to be a lower high or a higher high from this high, okay? But then we turn back and here's a low. We made a lower low than here. Okay, but then we turned around and made a high. But this high was not above this high. So this is still in a downtrend right there. Even though this came up over the 17, it just didn't break the high over here. So price action is still in a downtrend, but actually just kind of moving over to the right. Okay, so that's bullish over that 200 SMA. All right, that's the 15-minute chart on T2123. All right, if I could, I would show you the whole chart there. Coming up next is T2123. This is the 3-bar chart. Okay, so 3-bar chart is right here. Okay, so here's our April low. Okay, this was the all-time high. Came back and made a higher low. Okay, that was the all-time, made a higher low. Then we produced a higher high. Then pulled back and made yet again another higher low. Okay, in the neutral zone. Found or fought our way back into the bull zone. Consolidated over the flat 200 and did a measured move, a plus with a bonus. Okay, up here to make a brand new all-time high. So this was previous all-time high. Okay, this is the last all-time high. Okay, that was notice the higher high. And this is the all-time high right here. Okay, so there we are. That's at the top of quadrant 4, so that's bullish and in an uptrend. And notice price is over the flat 200 SMA. So that's nice work on the bull's part for T2123 3-bar chart. Of course, the bigger time frames always rule. So if you're confused with the time frame that you're looking at, move up a couple time frames. Things will start to clear up as to what direction price is moving. Okay, so that's T2123, FNGU, 15-minute chart. Okay, this is stinker on the 15. We spent the day underneath the flat 200. So I'm just not impressed. They needed to recover the 200, all right, and maybe consolidate on top of that. That would have been nice. They couldn't do it. So on the 15-minute chart, you can see we got a low. They made a lower low. So they're in a downtrend as we head into the evening and close. So there's FNGU, and we're underneath the 200 SMA. And you can see we're underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. And if I put the quad lines on there, which I'm going to do right now, okay, all the way over there, you can see we're in quadrant 1. So this is bearish, all right, and still in a downtrend on FNGU. All right, let's take a look at, let's take this off. Let's take a look. We did oil and gas. We did, actually, we got them all, all right. So that's it for me for today. All right, everybody, have a beautiful weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm honored you guys chose me to lead you. It's too bad it was nothing but chop today. Everybody have a great weekend. I will see you all on Monday. All right, on Monday. Thank you.